Okay, here we go. We're going to take our gather on the blowpipe. Heated red hot, but not up to the well. I'm putting that on film so that everybody can see.
Smart idea.
Gather number 1. Use a little bit of gravity and rotation and a little bit of angle, just a tiny bit of angle, to get the glass off the end of the pipe. And while I have some time, I'm going to cool my pipe off. Remember what we're waiting for? We're waiting for the temperature to go down and the movement to slow down. It's only a bit, but not until it's completely frozen. Right about now, this would be a really good time to start the bubble. So we cap the pipe, and we get our starter bubble. There it is. Now, wait. Remember, come on over close and show this bubble. Remember about the bubble now, you need to have a lot of thickness up at the top and double that amount of thickness at the bottom. You don't want to blow the bubble too big before you go and take your second gather. Because if you do, you won't have any stability for your second gather. That's also the reason we're letting it cool down. Because we want this to be nice and frozen so that the new gather will just sit right on top of it and not go flying it all over the place. So what do you think about now? How's it look? Good? Still too hot. Yeah, there's too much red in the blowpipe still. It's just, you see how it's turning blacker and blacker like every second? Right about now is good because there's virtually like no color left in the glass anymore. And the blowpipe still has a little bit of red heat. That's where you want to be. Okay, gather 2. Got some time, so I'm going to go right to the cooler, cool my pipe off before I do anything else. And this also allows me to use a little bit of angle right now, get the glass to run off the blowpipe a little bit before I go back to my bench. And take my large block and shape the glass, being real careful to pull it off the end as much as possible, because the last place you need a big buildup of glass is here on the blowpipe. You want to get everything off the pipe that you can. Okay, next step. What do we do? Flatten the bottom. All wrong so far. Heat it up. There we go. Heat it up. That was a test in case you couldn't tell. You take the second gather, you block it into shape, you always preheat. Always. Because why? Even temperature is uneven. The bubble on the inside is cold. And if you blow it, it's going to go, wherever it wants to. So we want to get the temperature uniform. Now what? Nice and hot. What do I do? Reshape. Right on. Then what? Yep. We're going to blow the bubble bigger. Now what? Flatten the bottom. What's the hurry with flattening the bottom? That's the last thing we want to do, literally. I got heat in it, so I'm going to start my preliminary jack line right now. If it was cold, I'd go back to the glory hole and reheat it, but since it's still warm, I'll go ahead and start a little bit. Now, reheat again, because everything's too cold. Okay, nice and hot and moving again. So though, I'm going to make the jack line just a little bit deeper. Look at the bubble right now. It's got extra thickness down at the bottom because of the way we set it up before. So that's blown out pretty much as far as I want to go. And I know that because I can't really see thickness in this area, but I can still see thickness at the bottom, right? That's what we're looking for. If you set the bubble up right and you blow it out under the right heat, that thickness will stay right where it's supposed to. That's the easy way to do it. Okay, time to reheat. Now what? What's the next step? Now we have our bubble blown out. Shake it out. First. That's the first step. Gravity. See, it goes from being a round bubble to being a long bubble. It almost does all the work for you if you do the right thing at the right time. Now, we'll throw the jacks on it, push down just a little bit, and it gets really, really flat. And now we just use the back of the jacks to flatten it a little bit. And there we have the rudiments of a cup. So, what next? Yeah, we got to wait for it to cool down a little bit. It's still moving all over the place and just too hot. So we're going to let it cool and flash a couple of times. But you see how that process works? Work from the top to the bottom, one step at a time. It's jack line, then it's sides, then it's bottom. The bottom's last. Remember, bottom is last. Okay, flash. Honey me, please. You were just picked. Just like we practiced like a million times. Gather. That's a lot of glass. It's going to work fine. Because it's okay. I mean, the putty goes in the trash when we're done with it, so it doesn't really matter that much. But as a quality person, you want to always try and do the best job you can. So you want to make pretty looking putties. Okay, there we go. A little bit of water on the neck until it sizzles. Then a little tap. Go to the glory hole, just put the mouth in, not the back. Okay. And turn. Turn, turn. See, you get to center. Let it fall back in. And then once it hits the middle, start turning again. And then pull it back out of the glory hole, and I'll take it from you right now. Once it stabilizes a little bit, you can hand it back. So at this point, it's on the punny and it's stabilized, and we have to start flashing the punny to keep it from getting too cold. Because if you don't flash the punny in the bottom every once in a while, it's going to crack when you go to put it into the annealer. This heat, right after the break-off, is going to be the longest heat that you will have to do in the whole process. Because remember that the front of this is just cold enough to break off. It was frozen. And you have to bring it all the way up to working temperature. First thing, one blade goes in, and you roll the glass around the tool a little bit. Just open the hole part way, and then flatten the lip a little bit, just to make sure that everything's nice and flat and square. Then back to the heat. Flash right away, and then heat the lip. Flash again, and then back to the bench. Now, both blades in the hole, you roll the glass around the tool. You're not opening the tool, you're not forcing anything. You're rolling the glass around the tool. And then you go to the outside and you straighten it a little bit. And there's your cup. Done. All right? So the last thing we have to do is put this into the annealer. And at this point, you don't have very long to get it to the box, off the punny, and in the annealer. So what we do is we go for a last flash. Then we go right to the break-off box. And it's really windy today, so I'm going to be even quicker than normal. Honey comes off. And then we just grab it with a pair of the tongs and get it right into the box.